Hello, everybody. It's me, Corey, True Evil Bob. I'm here with Howard, Cesaro, Ninja.
My name's not that hard. You make it hard.
We got to make these videos 10 minutes. So we're going to talk about level-based systems versus skill-based systems today. Because I know you have a big problem with level-based systems.
Dungeons and Dragons, specifically.
But Dungeons and Dragons is a lot of fun, you got to admit.
I'm not going to deny that. I mean, it's what everybody pretty much started on. Well, from my generation of gamers, anyway.
Yeah, well, soon after I joined, there were a lot of vampire people that came along and wanted to do the new vampire game. But yeah, mostly Dungeons and Dragons in my childhood. And still today, like when people want to roleplay, the first game that comes to mind, the first thing that people want to do is Dungeons and Dragons. So it's...
When I'm telling someone I play role-playing games, and they say, what's that? I say, have you heard of Dungeons and Dragons? And when they say yes, I go, that. I'm doing that, except I'm playing a different brand of a role-playing game.
So, Dungeons and Dragons is ubiquitous and has informed and inspired so many like video games that use the same class and level system. And I see why it's easy. It's easy to make for, because you can just go, oh, I'm this level, that's that level. Should I attack it or not? I know because of my level. There's a hard and fast number to it. And you can, when designing adventures and role-playing games, you can go, well, what's a good challenge for my players? I have a level system guideline to go by. This level-based system was not as hard and fast as it is today. Like, 3rd edition solidified the whole making encounters fit for the level kind of thing. Before that, like, levels were a lot more...
Oh, no. In original Dungeons and Dragons, before it was advanced, it was very simple. You go up a level, you get more hit points. And there was very little else that you would get.
Your THAC0 went down.
Yeah, but mostly you just got more hit points.
You just got more hit points.
And you could always try and attack a creature that was way more powerful than you. You were just less likely to survive, but there was nothing stopping you. And now at this point, it's, well, I can't put this out there because this is a level 10 creature and I have level 2 players. And it's like, well, that's weird to me.
It's a kind of a video gamification. Like,
exactly.
These Dungeons and Dragons helped inspire these video games, and then Dungeons and Dragons took from those video games certain elements. And one of those elements is scaling encounters to levels like that, instead of just letting a game happen fluidly and dynamically.
I like the idea that in other games you can be creative and you can find ways to take down a monster or an opponent that there's no levels. You just have to use what you have. And skill-based systems allow you to do that better. Where you come up with a better idea. If you're going to attack this monster, well, I put everything I have into archery, so I'm going to get into a place where he can't get me, and I'm going to snipe. While this other guy who has everything put into something else, he's going to get over behind the dragon and sneak up on it. And this guy's going to do this.
Let's explain skill-based systems a little first. So what a skill-based system is you have a character and a bunch of skills and points, and you just spend your points in the skills that you want rather than following your level guideline. Like in a level-based system, you get these skills and these abilities because you are this class, and they go up. You get more abilities of that nature or better skills of that type as you go up in your level for that class. And in a skill-based system, sure, you have classes and they can inform on your abilities, but you can take whatever skills you want. And you can raise them, you can focus on whatever skills in...
You can customize your character. You can make the character the fantasy character that you wanted to make and to play, rather than the cookie cutters that are given to you by a level-based system.
And they tried to, in 3rd edition, they tried to change that up with lots of feats and different powers, and multi-classing.
You could vary your cookie cutter, but really you're just, it's sort of like we're all making gingerbread men from the same mold, the same cookie cutter, but then you dress it differently with the icing and be like, but mine's different. And
mine has a Santa hat.
It's clearly still the exact same as everything else. And skill-based systems allow you to truly create whatever it is you intended.
Let me talk a little bit about. This is how I view a level based system. When I see a level based system, I know the game is all about combat because your level is basically your skill in fighting.
Yeah, it's true.
When you gain a level, you're better at fighting, and you get more fighting powers, and that's all it is. You're in a tactical combat simulator, and that's a lot of what Dungeons and Dragons is. And I know a lot of people are like, "No, you don't have to understand. There's lots of role play in it." And I'm like, "What? Those role play in Dungeons and Dragons don't have rules based on it."
Yeah, there are a couple of skills that are appropriate for the role play, but what they actually let you do is skip it.
Yeah.
I'm going to role play my way through this. And you're like, no, just make your bluff check. But I'm a good role player. Yeah, but what's your bluff check? Well, the problem is I made a cleric, and bluff isn't a thing that I'm allowed to pick as a skill. Yeah, well, then you can't bluff. I'm like, but I had a concept. Yeah, well, you suck. Oh.
And there are builds. Because you are in a combat game, there are the best build for your character. And if you don't pick the best build, then why are you playing this obviously combat game? And that's why power gamers, like, they kind of like Dungeons and Dragons more than other games. They're in every game. They're in other games, but since Dungeons and Dragons is based kind of on that combat, they'll seek out the best build. And if you're not playing that, if you're letting your party down because you didn't pick certain powers that were best for your character, then somehow you've let the entire party down because you didn't do that. You picked more role-playing stuff.
Yeah, but in skill-based systems, you can have different things that let you level up. 7th Sea is unique, the newest one, with letting you pick what you're going to level at the beginning of the story, and then you work towards that, and when you have accomplished the goal of the story, you then get the thing that you were working towards automatically. But in other level systems that I usually appreciate is you can personalize it. Like if I'm the storyteller or game master, I can say, all right, your character's goal is going to be, you've made a character who's mostly a chef, which is an interesting concept, and you want to work for the king. Your big thing right now is to convince these people to hire you, and the problem is they can't because they're being forced by this guild to only hire people from this artisans guild, and you have to join the artisans guild, and they're being selective, so you have to find the money to bribe them, and you have to work your way through this story, and somewhere in there, you can get in through all sorts of social situations, and you can build all of that, and you could do the entire thing without fighting, and you could still, at the end of that, gain XP, increase your skills, and then Dungeons and Dragons, the way you gain XP is very clearly stated as you kill this monster, you get this XP.
Yes.
You complete this chapter of story
and then there's
whatever.
Hold on, but there is one sentence in the Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Master Guide that says, "Oh, and give some XP for roleplay." Whatever you think is appropriate.
It does say
all of the monsters are clearly labeled out exactly how much XP you get for exactly how you defeat them. But when it comes to roleplay, whatever.
But in the newer adventure modules, it does suggest that you can get a specific level up at the end of each chapter of the module.
Cool.
Which is still, though, the goal of each one is still going to be defeat the things in this area. And it's never going to be a game designed for roleplay in all scenarios. It's role-playing a group of people that are going out and hunting monsters.
So, this is something in level-based systems I think we've all started doing since 3rd edition. In 2nd edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons before that, we would always calculate each monster and divide it up evenly. But since 3rd edition on, since monsters and encounters are done specifically for a level, we've stopped giving out XP. We just simply say you level up when the game master says it's appropriate, so we can face the new challenges
which is the new modules say that now for the 5th edition. That's what I'm saying. Is at the end of each chapter, they're like, all right, go ahead and level everybody up because the next chapter is going to kick the crap out of them.
So you're not earning your levels or XP or anything like that. You just met got to the point in the story where you need to level up, and that's what happens. That's kind of that feels a little like it's a A
It
slap
can
in the
go,
face.
apparently it can go the other way, which is there's a system I like that's an older system from the 80s called Dragon Quest,
Yeah, you
which
really like that system. This guy's a Dragon Quest man.
when you leveled, it offered you discounts if you could find in-game teachers for skills to encourage people to go and talk to the NPCs and be like, look, I want to learn how to be a better fighter. I could either find a PC or an NPC who's a good fighter and convince this guy, hey, can you teach me to be better with this sword? And offer him money or favors in exchange. I get an XP discount to go up in my sword skill. And I found that does slow the game down, and my players hated this option. And I was like, if I don't make sure they have teachers available, they're going to be mad at me that for all these XP discounts they could have had. And instead, they were mad at me for telling them that because they thought I was saying, this is the only way you can level. I was like, no, you can totally level without this discount. But then they were like, but I want the discount. Well, then you kind of have to do this. Why would I give you a discount for no reason? If you want the discount, you got to work for it. Well, that takes time. Yes.
Yes, it does. That's.
I have an obstinate group, is what I have found.
Yeah. I just had a problem with the teachers because it kind of slowed the game down because it felt kind of like a shopping game. I hate those. Mind you, I don't mind finding teachers if you find a way to make them fun in the game, and I think you kind of did it. It just felt like the players were turning it into a shopping adventure.
Yeah, they did, and that happens too. Is when you have players that are more used to playing level-based games, they're just like, okay, well, they don't care as much about the flavor. They're just like, I need to find the best weapon that fit for my class. I need to find the teacher that'll give me the XP discount. I need to find this and this. And they just have like this laundry list, and they want to go through the list, get those things done, to go on the adventure, to trail the monster, to kill the monster, to get back with their new list of things to accomplish so they can go back out and kill the next monster. And to me, that is redundant and boring, and it's the actual reason I don't enjoy MMOs is because you're just
doing that exact same thing over and over.
And over. And I'm like, does it matter what level I am? If all I'm going to do is walk through that cave, which is going to look oddly like the cave I went through 4 levels ago, and go through the monsters, which will be similar but reskinned to monsters I killed before, and then when I'm done, come out and go shopping for power-ups. So go back out
to go through another very similar cave.
And that's MMOs to me are all the exact same, and I get real bored with them real quick. I'll give credit to some of them for having a little bit of roleplay aspects that are more interesting, like Star Wars does. But
Star Wars has the Star Wars MMO, and I know we're getting off topic here. The Star Wars MMO had a great story, but I hated its game mechanics.
Yeah,
I really did.
Yeah. Anyway, that is totally off topic. It's possibly a good topic for a different
video. We can break down MMOs and tell you good and bad and why we think that way. But skill-based system. There's another thing I wanted to ask you about this. There are 2 ways to go about like special powers in skill-based systems. For example, in Dragon Quest and in Vampire the Masquerade, when you have your class in Dragon Quest, it's your profession.
Right.
That gives you these cool special powers as you go up in it. Or in like Vampire, you have your clan or werewolf, your tribe or whatever. It's that motif. All you do to get your next level in that power is to spend that XP and get an extra dot in it.
Right.
Or the extra level up in it. Legend of the Five Rings does it a bit differently. It's a skill-based system as well. But it has this thing called insight. And you calculate all of the skills that you have, and then you add them up to calculate your insight. It's like your skills and your attributes, and it's a little bit of math, but when you calculate that, when you get to a certain threshold, when you get to a certain amount, for example, if you go up to 200 insight, you'll hit the next level of your school, of your what you are, whatever. If you're a samurai or a magic user, you get your next power because you've gotten that many skills. What do you think about that compared to, this way you have to kind of diversify your skills and make a well-rounded character. The other way, you can just hammer in that one thing. And I kind of like how Legend of the Five Rings does that.
I'm looking at a different system. Right now, D6 It's an older system.
Star Wars started as D6.
Star Wars did. In fact, Star Wars started the D6 system.
Yeah.
But then after they lost the Star Wars licensing, they tried to keep it going as just D6. And when they lost the Star Wars fan base, they found they lost most of their fan base, sadly. But they have an open gaming license on it now, so if you get a chance, check it out. But what you can do with that is you can buy your skills or your powers. Can be, and this is all a lot of customized ideas. You can buy your School of Magic as a skill set, much like they used to do the Star Wars Force powers.
Yeah,
your Control, Sense, and Alter.
Yeah, but you had to buy those. You would just like pour XP into those, and they would just level up, and you'd get more powers.
Well, yeah, but in order to use each power in that, you could put points into the actual power and be better with just the power. Like if you wanted to be a guy who was all about force choking people, you could just keep spinning on that. You didn't have to raise all of Control or Sense or Alter.
That's very
true. I believe
true.
It was Alter to force choke.
That's very true. The thing is you got a lot of bang for your buck when you bought, because every time you bought a new point in it, you automatically got new powers.
The price of raising your Control, Sense, or Alter, those three things, was insane.
Was it? I thought it was as much
No, they were doing it wrong.
Oh.
Because I've been rereading, and our game masters did it wrong. They were charging us the price at character creation, not the price at XP spending.
Aha.
And it's a different set of points. It's insanely expensive to raise the die code for an entire stat section. But you can raise the skills in it individually much cheaper, and that forces you to customize. So let's say you're a Jedi, and you have Control, Sense, and Alter, so you have your lightsaber combat, and you're lifting things up, and your mind control, and all those Jedi powers, but you want to be just good at certain things. Well, that's what you're going to be good at, because you're going to be raising those individually. And everybody gets way more customizable. You might be great at being like, hey, you didn't see that, or give me your cash. And absolutely terrible when it comes to, well, do you see the future? And you're like, this is oddly the same set of powers, but no, I never practiced this. I have no idea. People screaming? That could be anything, right?
But that does make it a point sink, where basically you're spending all of your time on those, and you're kind of useless in regular everyday skills.
And you should be, because let's be honest, if all I ever do is focus on tracking people and shooting my gun, and all you ever do is focus on your Jedi stuff, I'm going to be better at all those mundane things, and you're going to be better at Jedi stuff, because we both have the same amount of time in our life to go practice.
Let me show you a pitfall of the skill-based system. When you divide up certain skills, some skills are kind of related to each other, and if you're good at one, you're kind of good at the other. For example, we'll do the obvious one of fighting. If I'm good with a spear, why is polearms a completely different skill, or why is staves a completely different skill? And suddenly I'm a bumbling idiot because my pole doesn't have a point at the end of it.
If we have the viewers for this, I'm sure they will list all the different martial reasons why they are completely different weapons, and you're an idiot. But because trolls. But I understand what you're saying. You're still swinging it like this, and one has like an axe head, one has a pointy head, but some of the swinging would be the same. You'd have some idea how to use it.
Or just like a staff, somehow I don't know how to use this thing anymore.
Hero system actually would have the groupings, and you could go up by a grouping of weapons, or you could specialize in one weapon and be an idiot with other weapons if you chose.
Yeah, some systems do take care of that, but other systems kind of exacerbate that problem, and I think that is a problem.
So
that
if
makes
you have thoughts on skill-based versus level-based, and you want to share them below, we'd appreciate it. Also, like and subscribe.
This is a long episode. Hey, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.